Well, just days after what many are calling a drain the swamp election, some lawmakers in the House floated the idea of lifting the ban on earmarks, those special spending measures members get for pet projects back in their home districts. The controversial practice was banned in 2011 under former House Speaker John Boehner. Well, current House Speaker Paul Ryan is promising to revisit the issue next year. Texas Congressman Bill Flores is the chair of the Republican Study Committee, and he joins us now live. Congressman, thanks for making time for us today.
Shannon, it's great to be on the show with you again today.
Listen, I tweeted out that you were going to come on and we were going to talk about this issue, and my Twitter feed was flooded with people who were furious about this idea. I mean,
Right.
One of them says another dumb knee-jerk move by a congressional body coming into power, not thinking about the pendulum. Many of them say simply, what were they thinking?
Well, we have to go back to the Constitution. And in the Constitution, in Article 1, Section 9, it clearly says that Congress is responsible for all appropriations. And so that would include those things which had heretofore been done through the use of earmarks. But the problem is earmarks were abused, and we have to stop that practice. Fortunately, I think John Boehner made the right decision 6 years ago to stop the practice, and also we as Republicans in the House made the same decision earlier this week that we need to pull this off the table and rethink how we do two things. One, how do we not have the problems that came up with earmarks, because clearly Americans said we have to drain the swamp, but then secondly, to make sure that we fulfill our Article 1 constitutional responsibilities.
Do you think there's a way to do this with enough transparency that would make Americans comfortable? Because, you know, covering this election the last year and a half and meeting people all over the country, you know the common theme that got us to Election Day 2016, where people are furious with Washington. They feel like nobody's listening to them. They're wasting their money. They're out of touch with average Americans. So within a week or two after the election, to hear that there were GOP House members floating this idea, you can understand that people were outraged.
Well, and I was too. I mean, in particular, one of those amendments used the word earmark 6 times. And to me, that flew right in the face of what the American people told us clearly during the election on November the 8th. They don't want any of Washington as usual. They want to drain the swamp, as we talked about. But that said, we do need to come up with a reform process that has the transparency, that meets the critical national needs, that fulfills Article 1, Section 9. And I think there's a way to do that, but the earmark practice has got to go away, for sure.
What do you think it's going to be like working with the Trump administration? Obviously, the vice president-elect is formerly a member of the House himself. Do you think that's going to be an important bridge to the new administration?
Absolutely, Shannon. Mike Pence was one of my mentors when I was a freshman in Congress back in 2011, 2012. And what he told us a few things when we met together this past Thursday. One, he said, buckle your seatbelts, because the first 100 days is going to be intense. The first 200 days is going to be intense. He also said that we have a like agenda. We call it a better way in the House. That's a better way to make America great, a better way to put America first. And so we're going to move fast. We're working together. And the president is looking forward to working with the leadership in the House and the Senate so that we can accomplish these common themes.
Is there a sense that now you have this 2-year window in which the Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House, that if you don't get some major things done, whether it's repealing Obamacare, defunding Planned Parenthood, other promises that now President-elect Trump made, that there could be potential backlash by people who invested everything in making sure he got to the White House?
Absolutely, and that's the reason it's so critically important that we as conservatives in the House and we as conservatives in the Senate do what the American people sent us to do. They want to see an agenda like this. They don't want to see business as usual, as you saw before. Look, Donald Trump ran against Washington, and rightfully so. Washington is broken. And so it's up to us to come up with a better way to move forward. And I think we've got that. I look forward to working with President-elect Trump and also with Vice President-elect Pence as we advance the people's agenda to move Washington forward in a positive direction, rebuild our national security, make our economy grow again, repeal and replace Obamacare, and things like that.
Well, we know you're going to have opposition along the way on many of those goals. We also want you to keep in touch with us about that earmark issue, knowing that it's coming back next year, as promised by the Speaker. So we know you had some objections, and we'd love for you to keep us updated. Congressman Bill Flores.
I appreciate it, Shannon. I'd ask our viewers to continue praying for our country and our military men and women.
Always a great idea. Thank you, sir.